And we're back. Our second game of our second best of three of the night. Just about to get underway. The draft already in progress, as you can see. And a lot of high-level supports leading things off as Vici snagged up the Rubik and the Earthshaker. Crystal Maiden going to be working with the Rattle Trap on the side of Rising Stars. And to break it down, as always, going to be Ben Merlini Wu. Now, game one, Merlini, we saw characterized very much by some solid support play. The tone completely set by Fenrir and FY, Crystal Maiden plus Chen, just getting absolute work done across the map and never really allowing Rising Stars to have any chance to set their heels and get into a combat position, for lack of a better way to say it. They basically always felt like they were being run off of their own, run out of their own side of the map. And looking to change that around as this time they've landed the CM and the Clockwork King J didn't really have all that good of a game on clock in game one, but Vici getting the now super high-tier support pick in Earthshaker to go with the Rubik. And really, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Rising Stars knows how to play an early game. They know how to put themselves in decent position after 10 or 15 minutes. After that, though, they just seem to struggle.
I agree with you there. I don't really like the Earthshaker pick versus Clockwork, but hopefully Vici supports will play as well as they did last game. That was just really, really good support play by them. King J's Clockwork is very inconsistent. I've seen games where he just like dominates.
Oh, yeah.
But that game he was just like milling around, like waiting for things to happen, and they just didn't happen. He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and sometimes that happens, and it's very unfortunate that they didn't get that much mileage out of him. But hopefully they realize the mistake that they made last game and can come back to make this a close series.
Yep, I'm waiting to see how the second pick phase is going to go. But, I mean, it's so hard to look at this Rising Stars squad. Again, there's no doubt just how good they are whenever you look at individual talent, and there's no doubt in how well they can work as a team at times. We have seen, not just in the early game, but even in games where they were falling behind and so on and so forth, we have seen them show real flashes of brilliance in the medium and in the mid game and in the late game. They just never can seem to put together one good stretch, and when they do, as rare as that is, it really can be a thing to behold. Vici, though, as you mentioned, one of the hottest names going in the East right now, one of the hottest teams in the world right now, if you really want to look at recent results and just applying the eyeball test, just watching this team function and how well they play. 6.79 has just been a coming out party for them, and they're going to go ahead and grab up the Alchemist. We saw Alchemist played as a support earlier tonight, and of course, you and I had a brief conversation about that. As you know, Alchemist still as flexible and versatile a hero as he once was, being able to run as a full hard carry, being able to run as a mid or a support. And still waiting to see how that's going to shake out. Definitely think, though, he has the potential to do what he did before, just not quite as confidently given the changes he suffered in 6.79.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate in that aspect. Rising Stars, Crystal Maiden, Anti-Mage. Wow, this is a very early Anti-Mage pick. And,
yeah.
I don't necessarily like that from them. I think that their focus is early game, and with the Anti-Mage, they absolutely have no early game with them. Anti-Mage, what is he going to do? Like, and maybe in a one-on-one situation, he'll do okay, but in terms of contributing kills and creating space, absolutely not in the first 15 minutes. And that's exactly what they need. They need just a little bit more oomph in that early stage of the game, and then they can ride it until the later stages of the game. But they're like mid to late is not as strong. Their decision-making just not on par with other teams, and they really need good early game to compensate for that lapse in judgment.
Couldn't agree more. And, you know, that early Anti-Mage pick basically takes the reins off of, or takes the harness off of Vici and just tells them to go crazy. They're going to be able to just round out their front three. They already have some aggressive picks in the Earthshaker and the Rubik, two of the more effective roamers early on. Alchemist, of course, if he is going to be playing a carry or a mid position, being able to get up one or two very important items. But say if he goes mid and he wants to build the mech very early, that's fine. If he ends up being a hard farmer, just going something like Phase Shadowblade is going to allow him to fight. And that Beastmaster pick jives with that perfectly. Of course, having his aura to help the Alchemist swing harder and faster early on. But more so than anything, it's just another aggressive pick. Once he hits 6, he can begin to roam. Having Roar is going to shut down an Anti-Mage, shut down a Clockwork. You shut down anyone they want to try and jump on top of. And yeah, I think you're dead right. The Anti-Mage pickup doesn't really fit what we've seen Rising Stars excel at doing. In fact, it's a hero that plays into Vici Gaming's hands, especially now that they see it as early as they did and can continue to counterpick it.
Yeah, what they do is they just ignore the carry for like 15 minutes. Like ROTK was just pretty much solo versus Luna, and sometimes the supports would come and kill him. But that's not a high priority kill. They just let ROTK suffer, but they'll get so much more on the other side of the match. How often were CM and Chen like up in the opponent's jungle trying to pressure to Luna? They don't need to, because they just control every other part of the map, and they know that Anti-Mage even with like 10-15 minutes of free farm, you'll have what, a Battle Fury, maybe Battle Fury treads, and then when it comes to like 5-on-5, when Beastmaster has like Blink or something like that, Earthshaker has like Arcane Blink, Alchemist has like Phase Shadow Blade, Anti-Mage is just useless. And we saw that last game. Like Luna, she got her BKB, but what did she do with it? BKB run away. BKB get a solo kill on Elder Titan. BKB try and TP and die. That's pretty much how her 3 BKB charges went. And Vici Gaming knows that. And Rising Stars, Viper, I think, is a very good pickup for them. Clockwork and Crystal Maiden, it's really on those two and their last support to make a lot of things happen in this map. Viper on CTY, I think they tried to pick a defensive hero for him last game in Windrunner, but it can also double as offensive with Shackle Shot. Viper is similar, but I think he's a little bit better in terms of survivability than Windrunner. He needs to try and stop dying so much. It's not his fault, though. It's just a good play of Vici Gaming's, but hopefully this hero will allow him to get his mech up faster and contribute to those mid-game fights.
Well, the thing that worries me, when you see the Viper pickup, you and I have talked about it, just how innately survivable the hero can be. He's going to have a lot of weight on his shoulders, with the Anti-Mage unable to really contribute that much early on. Clockwork is an excellent initiator, can do a deceptive amount of damage with Battery Assault, and Crystal Maiden, of course, levels 1 through 5. And honestly, the way she's played by most teams now, so long as she is in range of the levels of her opponent, she can still have a pretty solid amount of damage output, especially if she manages to get off a full channel on Freezing Field that catches 1 or 2. But that Viper, for the most part, is going to be carrying a lot of weight in the mid game. And Vici just has a lot of ways to blow him up and kind of ignore how tanky he is. Whenever you talk about Earthshaker being able to land a Fissure, and Echo Slam, Alchemist with Unstable Concoction, the Axis from Beastmaster, Weaver with Shikuchi, Rubik with a Fade Bolt, if they prioritize Viper early on, and we'll see what they're going to get with their 5th pick, I really think they need another source of damage, and that's that actually suits very well. Another source of damage and a little bit of AoE lockdown that they desperately needed, especially with the mobility of Weaver showing itself with that 5th pick from Vici. But you know, you've got Crystal Maiden and Lena, both very, very soft heroes. You've got Anti-Mage, who's not going to be able to come to fights. Clockwork, survivable, but doesn't contribute a lot unless he gets way ahead. Viper, again, CTY is going to be under a ton of pressure, and if he is out of position at all, Vici will prioritize him and will focus him down no matter how many points he has into his armor and no matter how well built he happens to be.
Vici just doing his thing, something that's very similar to last game, like ROTK on a hero that doesn't really need items as long as he gets levels. Elder Titan, Beastmaster are very similar in that role. Weaver, a difficult to kill hero that scales well with items, similar to PL like last game, and then 2 heroes that can do a lot pretty early in Rubik and Earthshaker. So their like draft is very simple. It's just different heroes. It's like somewhat 4 protect 1. Alchemist can double as like a late game carry, very similar to Storm too. Rising Stars, I guess their lineup is pretty similar too. AM is like Luna, Viper, somewhat survivable, somewhat offensive, like Windrunner. We see 2 roaming supports, similar to SD and Lesh, and Clockwork was Clockwork last game. So this is actually like almost the exact same draft of last game. It's just a lot of different heroes.
Yep, very much agreed. And we'll run through the lineups in a moment. Just waiting to see how these lanes are going to take shape. Once again, FY, a roaming Rubik is one of those heroes that can make or break a team. And Rubik, you know, I remember when 6.79 came out with his change to his Scepter upgrade and so on and so forth. It was a big question: are we going to see the return of the mid Rubik? And so far, we really haven't. And the biggest reason we haven't really seen that is because he doesn't really need mid. I mean, he's going to be super effective so long as he finds his levels once in a while. Certainly, an early Blink Dagger, an early Force Staff, etc., really does help. But you know, him roaming in conjunction with that Earthshaker, I think Vici's in a great position to repeat their performance before, and this comes down to a very salient point you made about the way they treated Luna in Game 1. The fact that they just said, that's fine, ROTK will soak his experience, and yeah, she'll get farm, but we'll just look to hit a window whenever she's built survivable and lacking damage. And they're going to be able to do that to the Anti-Mage very easily. They're going to be able to just kind of let him do his own thing, and then just focus on picking apart 2 squishy supports, a Viper that can be blown up with the amount of burst that Vici is going to have in store for him. And you don't really see Vipers build maneuverability that much. You don't see them build mobility. They tend to just build flat-out survivability, mechanism, scepter, so on and so forth. And then the clock after that is really just not going to be that big of a problem. So I really like Vici's draft a whole lot. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that the Anti-Mage did come out in that 3rd position. As you pointed out, a little bit of risky maneuver to pick him there.
Too early.
Yeah.
I agree.
And, yeah, just it's too early. And Vici just said, that's fine. They took the they stopped carrying and just picked a lineup that should be able to really pour on the aggression.
30 seconds.
Oh, they're actually putting Super Mid and Sylar on Alchemist carry, so a little bit different than what I expected. So already different from last game. We see them trying to ward this. They know there's a sentry there, though. Fenrir can just drop it down here, and then that was MM. I guess he can't really do anything about that. I think he should have just walked up here so he can see if they're there and see if they counter it. Blocking the spawn is pretty important.
And we can see the sentry dropped in good position, and we'll see Miracle get himself a haste rune. But as the lanes take shape, we'll go ahead and see who's handling who. Actually want to see what he's doing here. He's hanging around. He knows they were dewarded. And we can see Earthshaker doing what Earthshaker does. Big reason why he is such a high tier pick now. Being able to, with the extended range on Fissure, able to do a lot more things with creep blocking and so on and so forth.
Can they kill this ward? I don't know if they can. I don't think so.
Let's see. I'm not seeing any. They've got one more sentry, so Fenrir, with one more sentry, will be able to go down and drop it. Let's see if he'll be able to spot it. There you go. Immediately walks over, knows where it is, will eat his way through the trees. So just understanding the game quite well. Hang on, ROTK. Surrounded by some unfriendly faces. The sisters being run out of the dire side jungle. ROTK and FY going to pursue this out. FY has telekinesis. Can he catch one? Movement speed. Yep, we'll be able to get QQQ. Pulls him back. There's a frostbite, though, and Light Strike Array. Couple of auto attacks. We'll put first blood on the board. Actually, FY got it by a millisecond. Super comes over and lends a couple of auto attacks. They end up trading 1 for 1. But Vici, that could not have been more than a handful, a dozen milliseconds or so. And up here, we're actually going to see poor Sylar blow himself up with an unstable concoction. But 1-1, early action once again.
That was very risky by ROTK. He should have eaten some tangos as he was chasing. It's not like he wasn't next to trees either. Like in this area, he was like running in this trajectory. There's plenty of trees to eat. He still has 8 tangos, and with that, the first blood would have been much closer for Vici. It was very risky. That 200 reliable gold is pretty important in the early game. The mid from Vici is also much more proactive. Like Weaver already was there to hit him a couple of times, so they're just more map aware. CTY, he dominates his lane sometimes in terms of CS, but just his map awareness and decision making is slightly subpar compared to Super. Supers have become and developed into one of the best solo mids, actually.
One of the most reliable, I think, would be the word. I mean, a lot of the really high flying solo mids, you'll see even guys like Ferrari, who I mean, it's just a treat to watch every time he has an outing. You'll still see him go feast or famine. You'll still see him have good games and bad games. Super just doesn't really have that many bad games. You watch him, and yeah, he's not always going to make as good a play as some of the other more well-known mids, but very rarely is he going to be making mistakes. Very rarely is he going
XCD
to just
gets picked up on top.
Yep, telekinesis back. But so tough to engage into a clockwork right now. I mean, he's got 1-1-1, and just the threat of cogs enough to keep ROTK and FY from really making a lot out of that kind of aggression.
They're stalling AM's farm pretty heavily with this creep pulling shenanigans from Fenrir. Yep. I would agree with you that Super is just very consistent player. He's not like super flashy and he's not high risk, but he is definitely they get a lot of mileage out of him. Oh, almost lost chicken there. Oh, gets upgraded right on the 3-minute mark too.
I guess you can call him the anti-demon. Just a guy who flies a little bit under the radar, doesn't throw a lot, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and like you said, I think not a very high risk kind of a guy. Just makes plays when they're given to him, and some will say that's a bad thing. You need
very patient.
Yeah, patience is a great way to put it.
Patience from Zoe.
Patience from Zoe, indeed. 20 CS for Viper leads the way, so CTY certainly having his way with things in mid. Clock sitting at 17. Anti-Mage, despite, as you said, the shenanigans coming out of our Earthshaker, he is finding his farm as well. He's in that top 3 range at 15. And right now, I mean, you take a look at Rising Stars, they're winning across the board in terms of pure CS game.
Yep, Vici getting a little bit behind in terms of gold and experience, about 1,000 in favor of both. CM, one of the better junglers right now, and I think that's why she's picked up so highly. Already level 3 compared to supports. Let me see, level 3 on the Rubik and level 2 on the Earthshaker, so they're not doing so bad. How has Miracle's farm been? 17 CS on him, but a lot of it has been blocked by the Earthshaker. That must be so annoying to deal with as a carry.
Sylar moving around the backside. We'll go ahead and use Unstable concoction ready to go, and XDD caught in no man's land. This will be an easy kill, one very much needed from Vici. And we'll see if they want to do anything else off of this. 1 point into acid spray if they want to push. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Just going to take what they can, take the kill, a little bit of CS.
Trying to kill Super in mid. CTY's not level 6. I think if he were level 6, they could kill him, but not quite yet. Again, the supports from Rising Stars getting caught out of position. What is Lina doing in a 1-on-3 situation? And Vici Gaming, their supports, still 0 deaths on the pair of them.
Somewhat quiet early game. I mean, we are seeing some movement. Now we're going to see 2 moving up through mid. That's going to be our Twisted Sisters, as Nahaz so accurately pointed out. But the CS, again, continuing to favor Rising Stars. That's going to be the question, is if Rising Stars can manage to not only win the CS battle.
Am I going Super right here?
Through out.
They need uphill vision.
They've got a ward down. QQQ right there. Going to go for it. And the Shikuchi just right on time. Able to get him back to safety. Knows there's an effort underway.
Very safe player.
Yep. Again, just takes what's given to him. Doesn't play too far out. But, this is key for Rising Stars. And this is where a lot of the times their weaknesses come in. Can they win the CS war and continue to accomplish secondary goals?
Here they go.
Yep. XDD and QQ going to head to top and possibly look to dive these two. Siler and FY are pretty low, and they are out of regen.
Yeah, he is level 6 in quite some time. So I'm surprised Siler is staying around with this low. This is not a super play.
Here we go. Siler caught out, and that's an easy death. And they might be able to get FY. XDD moving right up behind him. Has tier 1 boots. Will connect with the light strike array, but will go ahead and back out for fear of any kind of retaliation. 2 are making their way up. That was super. FY surviving. Could have turned and tossed out a Fade Bolt, but not a whole lot else. So either way.
Going around, they're looking for FY.
They do manage to find him. And here we go. TP's going to come in. FY very low. Took a flare in the face. Siler's back up, and he's going to go ahead and TP out with that.
ROTK has his arcane boots, just farming up on bottom. Looks like they're still denying Miracle some CS, but he's still doing very well. 36 in 6 minutes time. Looks like Siler, if he comes up to get a creep, he is dead.
Siler sitting right underneath the tower. He's got a
QQ laid a ward right in creep vision. That is a big mistake, sir.
Tell him, Merlini. And Rising Star is going to go ahead and pull the creeps back. So far, CTY is yet to really move out of this mid lane, and just no reason to really. He's sitting at top CS. Has already got his Aquila up. One would imagine Mech might be the next choice. We'll have to wait and see. But still the 2, Lina and Crystal Maiden, continuing to hang around up here. This is forcing more of a reaction out of Vici, and we're going to hear a hook that connects on Finn rear. There's a telekinesis to disjoint things. Cogs didn't go down. That will force a TP in as well. That'll be super. Cogs do go down, knowing they're going to be pursued out. And a fissure will connect on the King J. However, super locked out by it as much as anything else. Siler will toss out the other. Oh, big damage.
Oh, and that's so much deeps.
It is coming out on the Crystal Maiden. So the counter punch from Vici is very effective as they transport 2 up the top, ready to go. 2 to 3.
Yeah, the reaction to that hook shot was just very, very fast. Hook shots, he gets telekinesis before he can cogs. If he cogs, Fenrir's probably still dead, but these supports are just in really good positions, really fast reaction time to Super, doing a very good job controlling runes. His CS is not that great, a little, it's like CT-wise is almost doubles his, but he's still doing okay. He hasn't died. He hasn't had any help in mid. There is a sentry ward though. Super is level 7 with that 6-second cooldown. Shikuchi should be A-okay.
Manages to fill the bottle with the DD, and ROTK right there beside him. ROTK is almost level 6. Now, once he hits 6, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them take a shot at this anti-mage, especially if Super decides to keep that double damage room bottled up. But that's when I really expect to see things break down. Vici, again, with just such an aggressive lineup, is going to be able to do so much and get so much mileage out of a Beastmaster.
CTY maxed corrosive skin, too. Yep. Dang, that, I mean, he doesn't, look how much damage he did with max corrosive skin too. That's the thing about Viper. You don't really need that many items. Oop, I hear a hook shot.
Yep, hook on the King J. And the counter initiation of XDD. Fenrir's going to end up dropping FY. Next to drop, now Super. Looking to do some damage. Popped his DD, heading up to the north side of the river, but double kill goes the way of Rising Stars, and again, continuing to live up to their potential in the early game. This is what they do. Now let's see, as we approach 10 minutes, if they're going to be able to transition. Here comes the TPN. That's going to be the Beastmaster, and Miracle just doesn't care. In the meantime, Midas done on our Alchemist.
Yeah, and King J, like last game, not much on Clockwork, and this game already 2-0-2, involved in every kill on the side of Rising Stars. He is very inconsistent, but when he plays well, he plays really well.
Early gold graph tells us this is a big advantage for Rising Stars, especially given we've yet to see a tower drop. I mean, seeing 3,000 gold going to the advantage of a team's one thing. Seeing them earn it on the back of nothing but mechanics, more or less. You're talking 4-3, a kill score that's very, very close. No towers down. They've just grinded out a win so far. Now we're going to see them attempt to extend it. Roar goes off, kind of a use it or lose it situation. Might be enough, though. Nope, Mana Void seals the deal. That's going to be another kill going to Rising Stars. That time, Animage the one to secure, and Miracle really in great shape. He's already got up his Claymore, and as well as his Ring of Health. His Battle Fury should come out at a pretty decent clip, especially since he went Treads first.
Yeah, and it's a completely switch situation where the Rising Star supports are doing a lot more QQQ, XDD, roaming around a lot more effectively. Lina already level 6, 10 minutes in, so they're having a much bigger impact. They seem to take lessons from Vici Gaming supports and are just finding kills all over the map. FY just trying to get level 6. Let's see where Earthshaker is. He's trying to stack too. He's level 4. And this is one of the problems with Earthshaker. You get far behind, like, what are you really supposed to do? Like, stack, that's not the most effective thing for your team. And he really needs, like, arcanes ASAP.
Here we go. Rising Stars. This tower's been slowly whittled down by Miracle. Down to about half
His AM
health.
is scary.
Yeah, he really is just way far ahead. I mean, to have gone Treads and still have a chance to have a Battle Fury up in the next 2 or 3 minutes is actually pretty terrifying. We haven't seen nearly as much movement out of FY as I expected. And as you mentioned, Fenrir has really been a non-factor to this point. He is just about, actually check that. I thought he actually didn't do anything with that camp, just stacking it now. But here we go. Going to look to change that up as we see smokes bought on both sides. Vici, though, going to be the one to use it. And it looks like they might try to prioritize either mid or bottom.
Yeah, they need to kill Miracle before his Battle Fury comes out. 1155 gold, yeah, that's a pretty good timing. He has 900 unreliable gold. I wonder if he's going to be able to buy his Void Stone. Can't buy his Broadsword. Or he actually can buy his Broadsword. He just did, so even if he dies, not a big deal.
And trying to chase down the Hawk. Got one little auto attack off. Our OTK's right on his tail. He will be able to make it back to safety. Midas now the pickup on the Viper coming out of mid. That's a very chancy pickup in my opinion. Again, he's going to have a lot of pressure on him as the Animage farms. Having Miracle in such a good position certainly mitigates that a bit. But Vici still has a team that should be able to pour it on, and they know it. As they're now going to rotate super down. He's got a haste rune. Fenrir drops a ward down behind the tower, and MM going to be caught up with a fissure. QQQ is going to be absolute meat. And we see, actually, the Frostbite buys him some time. Off the mark with the Light Striker Ray. However, Laguna Blade does good damage. Roar on the XDD. And the Mana Void on the Fenrir, not quite enough. They should be able to turn this around, though, as CTY now shows up. That's going to be a double kill going to the Weaver, though. Another good fissure buys some time. FY eats a tango to try and heal back up, but not going to be the case. There's a hook to lead things off on the Fenrir. Super still hanging around, actually runs into a cog, and they know where he is. He's going to duck into the woods and try to TP away. He's got a time lapse if he needs it. Not going to need it. But either way, Rising Stars takes a good win that time. That felt really disorganized coming out of Vici. They felt like they had the positioning and they had the situational awareness, but their execution was just lacking.
They can't tower dive like that against 5 when they only have 4 strong. They have to be aware of when to back off, when the TP start coming. Siler looks like he's going to get picked off on top too.
Gets off the unstable concoction. Will they have the ability to follow it up? Nope, doesn't look like they're going to try. Miracle just happy to go ahead and continue on some farm. That should be his Battle Fury done.
Yep. Vici, like last game, they were very, as you said, surgical about just like picking off fights, knowing when to back off. That fight, they just overextended. They have vision there. They knew how many heroes were down there for the most part. They saw the TBs coming in, but just unable to escape with that few of losses. Siler, he is farming okay, but I think it may be the same situation where, yeah, sure, you get free farm with this hero, but is it actually going to do anything once your items kick in? Who knows? Earthshaker still staying at level 4. That is the biggest problem on their side right now. They need levels on Fenrir. They need something out of him besides constant death. 0, 2, and 1 on him. His fissures have not been bad. It's just they fell a little bit too far behind early, and he just gets picked off by Viper. Like, what does he do versus a Viper? He can't really kill him. If he stuns him, he'll get Crow's skin, try and run away, and just die.
Speaking of Viper, the mech very close to being complete now. Only needs about another 300 gold, give or take. And Vici moved, rotated 4 up to top. They had 4 in position to try and make something happen, but Rising Stars just seems to have much better game awareness as to what's going on across the map. They really haven't been caught out nearly as much as they were in game 1. And it's been the difference. Whenever they play this way, they're going to be in good shape. Here's a roar on the CTY. If they can get Viper here, would be a nice little coup. Viper strike. On to Super. Super going to be Laguna bladed. And the Mana Void disjointed by the telekinesis. That's going to stun him out. Fissure to follow it up, but lacking any damage. Vici right now just being bullied around by Rising Stars.
Weaver needed his time lapse there. He didn't actually have enough mana, so poor mana management by him. But Alchemist gets a free kill on QQQ. QQQ 1-4-4, still contributing a fair amount to his team. But now Miracle is really farmed. 700 gold on top of treads. ROTK gets hookshot.
King J catching out ROTK. Miracle going to add to his growing collection of kills, make it 3-0-2. FY's there to telekinesis. Miracle. Siler will throw out the unstable concoction. It will connect, but no desire to pursue it out, at least at that moment. Rising Stars takes a commanding lead and has had a commanding lead for most of this early game. 10-6, the kill score tells us. But just look at that gold graph. Been a long time since we've seen Rising Stars with this kind of an advantage. They're in great shape and in levels as well.
This is the time where they usually start falling behind, though. Are they going to continue their streak of getting an early game advantage and then falling behind in the mid game when they have that advantage? Or are they going to actually be able to continue the pressure? I think they're going to be able to do so, though. CTY super farmed this game. He hasn't actually died, which is very unusual for him. And Anti-Mage is super farmed too, so they can either forward protect 1 or just create space for Anti-Mage, or they can just fight with Anti-Mage himself. He actually is going Vlad's. He will have it very, very soon too. Shadow Blade up on Alk. That is very, very important. They need to get kills out of Silent. I think this is definitely the right build.
Yep, we talked about this during the draft. We knew it was going to be this kind of a build coming out of this Alchemist Face Shadow Blade. This is where Vici should be feeling strong. Now, granted, their supports are under-leveled, the Earthshaker and the Rubik. Really just not as active or effectively active, I guess probably the better way to say it. And we see the Anti-Mage grabbing of Vlad's up as his second item. I don't think that's surprising at all. Again, it jives with what we've been saying. This is where Vici should be able to get things back under control. And the early game shouldn't have gone as wrong as it did. They still have a chance, but this has got to be, Rising Stars should be able to play patient now. They have to know that Vici has all of the onus on them. The gun is to their temple, not the other way around with an Anti-Mage now with a Battle Fury and a Vlad's ready to free farm every minute that Vici isn't making something happen elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, Siler, they have to kill Anti-Mage before he gets his Battle Fury. Once he gets his Battle Fury, they'll just split push them to death. And Rising Star is probably really good at that. Anti-Mage has been played by Miracle many, many times, and he knows how to split push. I wouldn't say he's as good as Burning, but he's still a phenomenal Anti-Mage player. So Siler, if he continues to farm, they're going to fall behind.
Siler, level 11, his net worth in the range of the Anti-Mage, but already, as you mentioned, that gap beginning to open up, and Rising Stars wants it to be a little bit wider. They're going to smoke their whole team, more or less. Didn't see if they didn't get Miracle. But he's just going to TP to the tier 1 and serve as bait. The rest of the team under cover of smoke. King J going to be looking for a hook. He's leading the way. And FY, likely to be a juicy target. Smoke will be popped on XDD. They know what's up. Let's see if they're going to fire.
If Fenrir gets hooked, the fight's over.
Nope. Oh, hook. Point blank missed. FY manages to steal. Blink. We'll be able to blink away. In the meantime, there's a roar to disjoint things. They're going to be able to clean up the Crystal Maiden. Miracle trying to engage off of this. They're a little grouped up and a little bit too shade, it would seem. That was just a, and this kind of comes down to something else we were talking about during the draft. We've seen King J play some good clock. We've seen him hit some hooks, but every now and then you'll see something like that. Just flat out point blanked it into the back of a creep. Cost his team pretty dearly, too.
Yeah, the positioning by the Vici supports were very, very good. Fenrir staying in the back so he can defensively fissure, and FY playing a little bit aggressively, baiting out spells, but he can blink.
Siler caught out. There's going to be a fissure, and one last auto attack enough to get the kill on the Alchemist that time. Siler brought down. There's a Light Strike Array that connects on Super, and the Mana Void gives him a nice return kill. The two heavy farmers on the side of Vici are the two to drop. They lost their tier 1, but they're very likely to take the tier 1 at top in return as well. It's at about half health right now. No way the rest of Vici can really hang around. And yeah, I don't know what FY was doing there. That's a totally unnecessary kill. The rest of his team, ROTK and Fenrir, were clearing the hell out of dodge. So they make it a 3-0 reprisal and trade tier 1 for tier 1.
Things are looking really dicey for Vici right now. 10,000 gold favor for Rising ahead for Rising Stars. Yasha builds up on Miracle. They can do Roshan very, very easily with Viper tanking too. So Vici has to do something to get back in this game. Earthshaker is still level 5. This is your second pick, Earthshaker. Versus Clockwork, useless. And your Ancient Pool, but AM still super farm. So like Earthshaker pick is, I'm not a fan of it. Not that early.
Yeah, still lacking any real semblance of farm as well. I mean, for a Shaker to really feel effective once you get to 20 minutes, you want him at least to have made some progress towards Arcane Blink. And right now, he's sitting on brown boots and enough gold to buy
Magic Stick.
Yeah, anything. I was going to say, yeah, enough gold to buy a wand if he was very lucky. It will take an ancient stack, and that'll help him with experience. Gets him almost to level 6. But right now, Sylar as well, just not feeling nearly as effective as you'd like him to feel. Super going with the defensive build. Has picked up the Ring of Health. Looks like he wants to grab himself a Lincoln's as well. This might be one of those games where Vici just tries to weather the storm and force Rising Stars to close them out.
I think that they need to sneak in a Roshan. They just get a quick medallion up, do it with Alchemist, and that should get them right back. Once the Weaver gets his Lincoln Sphere, once Earthshaker maybe gets a Blink Dagger, things can start turning around. But they're getting some kills, but it's on QQQ. QQQ has died, 6 times right now? That's 6 of 8 kills for Vici, but it's not an important hero at all.
Yep. Helps the Alchemist if nothing else, but the net worth is already growing fairly well out of control. For there to be a 3,000 gold gap between your lead farmer and the Anti-Mage on the other side at just 20 minutes in is just not something you can really abide. He's got 2,000 gold if he wants to put it towards a BKB, but even that, I mean, I guess against this squad, it's not that questionable with Alina and a Crystal Maiden, but at the same time, I mean, the Anti-Mage is just going to be able to take advantage of this. I do love how aggressive Vici is playing there. They're just smoking and moving so much more quickly now.
Yeah, Vici, they feel the pressure though. They know the gold lead is really big. They need to close it up, or Miracle is just going to split push farm, get an Aegis, and just close out the game. So they have to make something happen. They need to take T1s too. They've only taken on T1 right now. Looks like they're under second. Weaver needs his farm to like compare his farm to Viper. Viper is almost double, not double CS, 144 CS compared to 88, but almost double his net worth.
We can see VG going to go ahead and back off now. They're going to leave Super to split push bottom all on his lonesome. They want to defend this tier 2, really don't want to take another negative trade. Our OTK has Roar ready if he can catch a good target. King Jason one up front. And Miracle showing himself up. They're showing himself up front, I should say. There's the Scepter pickup. There's going to be a Telekinesis on the King J and the Fissure to follow it up. Heal from Mech might be enough, and they do manage to pick off the clock. Will they reinitiate? Looks like they're not really interested in it. So Vici manages to hold the tower, take a tier 1 bottom, and they're not done yet. They're trying to charge out. There's a time lapse out from Super. Sylar looking for a target. Will he be able to find one? Catches XDD on the high ground. FY's there. There's going to be the freezing field, though. They manage to pick off the Lena. Mana Void does some damage to FY and Super both, but both able to make it away. So the buyback from Clockwork doesn't look like it's going to be. Nope, check that. Was going to say wasn't going to contribute a lot, but caught FY with a last-minute hook, justifying the buyback fairly well. 14-10 when all's said and done. However, that tier 2 still standing for VG. They'll take that as a moral victory, if nothing else.
That was a very good pick by them. Or the King J just being a little bit out of position. I don't know why he's beating on the tower. He can just stay in the back and hookshot in if someone gets too close to defend. For example, if Fenrir goes out to Fissure, boom, hookshot, you win the fight there. So just getting caught out and died during the roar, that shouldn't have happened. And Vici, they were very good at backing off. Only losing a Rubik for that fight, getting 2 kills and a buyback, that's a very, very good trade for them, considering how far behind they are. And they do need to keep this tower up because they can't lose Roshan control. Roshan for an Anti-Mage or Viper at this point is just terrible for them. CTY, I think he should be up in front. He should just be tanking. They don't have enough damage to kill him.
AC going to be the choice for the Alchemist. Manta Style in the meantime done on Anti-Mage, so Miracle going to be quite happy to start playing aggressive now. I mean, really, just having a Vlad's plus a Manta Style to go with your Battle Fury, that's all you really need, and that's come out really quickly. Again, sitting at an excess of 10,000 gold advantage at the moment for Rising Stars. They have transitioned better than I think we've seen them transition in the mid-game the entire time they've been here in the Eastern Division of the D2L, Merlin. Don't know that I've seen them look quite this good at 25 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think one of the big problems this game is they saw the anti-mage pick, but they didn't do anything well about it. They had two heroes on bottom. They denied him some experience in gold, but Fenrir is still really far behind. Their other lanes got crushed, and the 2-on-1 just didn't do that much. I think they should just put like a 1-on-1 matchup like Lone Druid or something like that. Or, I mean, Darkseer is like okay, but ideally someone who can limit his farm very heavily while they still have four heroes on the other side of the map. So it was a very early AM pick, and they just let Rising Stars get away with it.
And I mean, they had the items in their tool belt. FY manages to steal Blink for himself. Nice survivability spell to have. But I mean, they definitely have the punching power. I think what it comes down to is the opposite of what it came down to in game one. And you pointed this out earlier. The movement of Fenrir and FY just hasn't been there. They really haven't felt effective on this tandem of Rubik and Earthshaker. And because of that, they're under-leveled, they're under-farmed, they're lacking any kind of items. FY has his arc boots up, and now he's going to be killed again, perhaps, as, no doubt, King J able to lock him in. Actually didn't have to lock him in with Cogs, just waited on XDD to blow his face off with Laguna Blade. But, 15-10. They just cannot get anything going from any position, and now Miracle going to be happy to try and move into Roche all on his own.
Fenrir is level 6 at long last. ROTK has his Hawk. He knows that they're doing Roshan and blinks out safely. Miracle's actually a pretty safe anti-mage player.
And the rest of Vici hovering around this mid tier 2. We'll see if they actually want to fight this. King J doesn't have hookup for 18 seconds or so. And they have to know that. They saw FY get killed. Miracle heads back in. Roche down to about half. And Fenrir finally, like you said, with Echo Slam, but no real mobility. Has up a set of arc boots, nowhere near his blink down.
Just walk in and get a big 5-man Echo.
That's how that goes, man. It's not like they're going to stun you. But for now, I mean, just look how defensive Vici's playing for the most part. This just isn't what we expected to see happening between 20 and 30 minutes for them.
CTY, 2,600 gold, Midas, Scepter, Mech, Treads. That is incredible amounts of farm. This is, I mean, CTY does excel at the farmer types of heroes, and I think that Viper suits him well because he tends to die a little bit more, but not with this sort of super tanky hero. They can sneak in Roche really fast. If Rising Stars goes to defend one of the side lanes, they can just sneak it in with the Medallion pickup on the Beastmaster as well as Acid Spray. So Rising Stars can't really leave that area right now. So I think that Vici needs to apply split pressure right now. Super should just push bottom. One person ideally would be taught like Alchemist, but and then you just get Beastmaster to keep spamming axes, use his Hawk there for vision, and try and draw them away from the pit, sneak in Roche for yourself, and get back in the game that way. But if they just straight up wait, I think that Rising Stars will just find an opportunity with a Clockwork hook shot.
And a brief pause, but we're back underway. Both teams giving a lot of attention to the Roche pit now. As you said, the ability for Vici to take a Roche almost as easily as Rising Star is certainly going to make this pit a very highly contested piece of real estate, at least for the foreseeable future. And for now, it looks like Rising Stars wants to cope with that by forcing a 5-man. They're going to move up, and why wouldn't you?
Anti-Mage is not there. They should go right now. Anti-Mage, I don't think he TP'd away. He didn't TP away, but he's still a couple screens away. The Clockwork, very smart, though, with his rocket keeping vision inside that pit. Super is applying pressure on bottom. If someone TP's bottom, it's their go signal. They're very intent on Roshan right now. They can't really give it to Anti-Mage, and they're doing a good job of keeping them around that area.
Super has this Lincoln's done. Hang on, we're going to have the Cogs drop down. Siler's in trouble. There's the mech to try and get it back up and fighting. Axis thrown out. Beautiful unstable concoction. Stunned both. Siler will end up dropping down the mech out on the other side. Earthshaker going to be cleaned up with a Laguna Blade, and really this might be about all she wrote. King J whiffs on another hook, but it doesn't matter. The damage is already more or less done. Super pecking away at CTY. ROTK is going to come back out. He already spent his roar. The damage just not there, and there's going to be a hook in. King J, with his scepter freshly up, able to hook much more rapid fire, has his blade mail up as well. Tower will be enough to clean him up. And FY looks like he managed to steal Blink. Doesn't really matter, though. Certainly a trade they're going to be willing to take, getting the tier 2 and a handful of kills to go with it.
They're going to get Roshan too. Earthshaker level 6, though. He respawns really fast. They need Beastmaster there for division. But Miracle thinks twice about it and will run away. Are they going to be able to sneak it in? Probably not with Alchemist out of action. I think he needs, I don't know what he needs. BKB is like okay. It'll prevent the feedback damage from the anti-mage, but he can still get cogged in and unable to really hit the squishy heroes. And he will still get Viper struck too.
Looks like they want to take their shot. Rising Stars hanging around the lip of the Radiant side of the pit.
This is like the best opportunity that they're going to be given, though. 4v5 with Clockwork now, so he can't trial trap him in the cog. Usually they're forced to not clump like this, but they don't have vision either inside the pit, which is a really big deal. They don't know how fast it's going on. Very, very smart decision by Vici. I think they should have given the Aegis to Sylar because Super is pretty hard to kill with his Lincolns and time lapse, but it is important for Sylar to get his money using that Midas.
Really nice fissure there for Fenrir to help block out any attempt at trying to challenge that Roshan as well. Obviously, any mage can blink over top of it, but the rest of them had no way past it, and it was more than enough to choke that off. Showing their face here in mid a little bit. Looks like they wanted to at least threaten that middle tower, but in the meantime, ROTK continuing to just farm up, has his mech, his medallion, and his gem. Both sides in fairly good shape, but the gold graph definitely has not abated in terms of its climb in favor of the Radiant. Rising Stars now 15,000 gold ahead. That's 500 gold per minute they've built in terms of a lead, Merlini, just in the first 30.
This is getting scary. Viper still, like, they can't kill him. 4,600 HP or 4,600 gold too. If he gets like a heart or something, like, it's just going to be a nightmare for him. I mean, even just more armor too. I guess he can go AC himself. I think he just needs HP / survivability, and just tank Alchemist. Don't even care, or tank Weaver. See a 4-man smoke up. They're trying to protect Super. Looks like all 5 of Rising Stars are going to be down there too. Looks like a bloodbath is about to happen. Nope. They
Pulling back. The Anti-Mage, by the way, is officially completely bonkers out of control. He's got a BKB plus another 1,800 gold aside, so he can build whatever the hell he wants. If he wants to hold out and go ahead and go straight butterfly, he'll have it up very shortly if he maintains this level of farm. And Rising Stars is just playing better Dota. They're making the right decisions. And so often, that's what we saw go wrong for them in the mid games that they would throw away, is they would have the personnel, they'd have the lead, they'd have the items, they would even have the individual skill, but they would just be out of position. Just wouldn't really be executing in any phase of the game. That's just not the case this time. Vici has really been under the gun from moment one, and Rising Stars hasn't blinked.
Yep. And Earthshaker still level 7. Fenrir just night and day difference from last game. He 0-3-3 this game. He's died quite a lot. Hasn't really contributed anything. He can't really do anything though. If he shoots out a fissure, Aim can just blink on him with Manta or BKB and just straight up kill him. And Clockwork can hookshot him if he's slightly out of position and just kill him. Viper Strike too, the super long range with Scepter, and he's kind of out of the fight too. So Fenrir has led a very, very tough life this game.
Yep. Every time I look at him, he's got arcs plus like either a wards or a dust or a smoke. And usually just 500 gold in the bank aside. He's one of those guys that just can't seem to get past the hand-to-mouth living. But King J leading the way here in mid. Only 2 outer-tier towers remaining at this point for Vici Gaming. And it looks like Anti-Mage is just about ready to fight. Again, with his BKB up to go with his Vlads. A couple of mid-game items means he can really just decide to participate as soon as he wants.
Well, it looks like CTY is going Butterfly. It's not a bad item. Survivability is generally the name of the game for Viper. And yeah, Super has to keep applying split pressure. And I'm surprised that Rising Stars has not actually been doing that either. The only really good lockdown, I guess, is the Alchemist with the Shadowblade. They have Roar too, but they've been forced to like stick as 5 as most of the time, as opposed to last game where they're moving around, getting being very effective with 2 to 3 man groups, but can't do so. Not when they're this far behind.
Sylar is making a dent. He's not necessarily making up ground on the Anti-Mage, but he's keeping it reasonable. He's keeping the difference between he and the Anti-Mage in the 3,000 or 4,000 range and not letting it spiral out of control. Grievel's Greed certainly helping a lot with that. He's got 4,000 gold right now, and he's going to be able to build an Abyssal if he wants as an answer to the Anti-Mage mobility. We'll have to wait and see, but as you mentioned, Viper now with his Butterfly done, that's problematic.
Yeah, that's a real big problem. How are they going to kill this Anti-Mage? What is Weaver going to build? He needs MKB. That should be his next item.
Taking a look, he's got the Demon Edge up. He only needs about another 800 gold or so, and he'll have the MKB done. This is something else we've seen Rising Stars do from time to time. I feel like they have a huge advantage. They could be pushing. They could be clearing these towers. They could be taking the jungle away from Vici, and instead they're playing ultra defensive. We've seen this before with hard farming carries for them. Sometimes they just don't recognize how big the window of opportunity is for them to take a game in the mid game, and they let a team hang around and hang around and hang around, and then suddenly it's 50 minutes, 2 fights have gone wrong, you've lost the Roshan, and your Rax is about to drop.
Yeah, it's just one small thing led to another. Like King J hookshotting here, he dies. They get Roshan, they get the Aegis. They don't want to fight against the Aegis for 6 minutes, and then like it just gives Vici way too much time to catch back up. And they haven't really caught up though. Looking at the gold graph, it's just pretty much stale for like the last 5 or so minutes. Smoking, looking for opportunity. Both teams just 5-minute around. Super is the only hero that's applying some split pressure. He needs his MKB ASAP though. 2,500 gold, needs about 400 more.
Sylar leading the pain train through their own jungle, or through the Radiant jungle, I should say. We'll go ahead and cut it north now, and could end up running into a world of hurt. As Rising Stars is largely grouped up. It's a big creep wave at bottom, though. If they want to try and force a fight, hang on. Here comes Rising Stars as a 5.
They have a Hawk, though. They know where they are. Very good Hawk usage.
Up here we go. There's a telekinesis, and the Roar's going to be there as well as the Fissure. However, beautiful counter initiation as King J hooked and Cog. Hooked in, caught 3, got the stun off. Sylar trying to chop down CTY, but with Miracle showing up, the damage is too high. Super will be able to Shikuchi away. Freezing Field from QQQ doesn't accomplish a lot. Sylar still up and running, as is FY. They've lost 2. Just heard another hook. That's going to be on the Super that time. In the meantime,
Aegis just expired. Oh my goodness, it was right at 6 minutes. I literally saw it disappear in his inventory right before he died.
Very unfortunate. That's going to be a 4-man wipe. Fenrir will be back up. Love his heart.
That was a huge stun by Lena. XDD got a 3-man stun after like fighting uphill too. That's just really good play by him.
Wonderful counter initiation across the board.
Very close to closing the game out.
Yep. And we knew, I mean, Miracle at this point only about 1,300 gold from having his Abyssal done, if that's what he wants. Doesn't look like he's going to need it.
He has the Fissure to block, and Weaver didn't actually buy his MKB before either, so he's not going to have it up for next fight.
Gets the Fissure off. Here's Sylar tossing out an unstable concoction. Miracle, though, forcing the glyph out after he mantas. And I don't know that they're afraid to fight under their own tower right now. They've got enough health. They've got enough survivability, enough mobility items. XDD might end up dropping. They do take the T3 for free. Sylar will get the kill on XDD. In the meantime, there's the hook in, and King J with that build, the blade mail build, just feels so hard to bring down. Can't focus him down, otherwise you end up doing damage to yourself. The racks remain standing, at least for the moment, but again, costing them so much. And the Lena did buy back, so she'll be ready to jump back in. Doesn't look like they're ready to give up yet.
Yeah, they can still defend. Weaver doing okay items. Miracle full HP though. CTY full HP. He is just so incredibly difficult to kill.
Rax will drop 2. Anti-Mage and some illusion. Sylar going to initiate in. Will they be able to get him down? They will. And Miracle taking some damage will be roared out as well. They're going to be able to get him. It's 1,000 gold gone, but Fenrir finally making his power felt. Another good stun from XDD, and the follow-up from Crystal Maiden using the Frost Blast to get the kill, or the Frost Nova, I should say. Sylar, though, going to end up dropping, so they got a couple of big kills in the clock and the Anti-Mage. Cost them 4 once again. Only hero still left standing is the Beastmaster, and he doesn't even have Roar. 2 outer tier towers standing, though, mean they can't really rotate to the other racks. They're going to have to pull back and go to the tier 2s.
Yeah, CTY just, he doesn't really like do that, like you can't really see him have that big effect, but he's just such a nuisance. They can't kill him at all. They can't focus him. They can't leave him alone either. He just keeps Viper striking people. He has the mech too. He is just impossible to kill, and they got Miracle. Miracle didn't actually pop his BKB that fight, but they had to blow so many spells on him, and they'll just leave CTY to clean up everybody.
Bottom tier 2 does end up dropping. QQQ soaking some much needed experience and levels. Just the support inventories on the side of Rising Stars are just unbelievable. Ghost Scepter up on Crystal Maiden along with an Urn. Force Staff up on XDD to go with a little bit of extra survivability with the Bracer and the Wand. King J, we know, is gigantic. He's got a Ghost Scepter of his own. Has added a Plate Mail to go with his Blade Mail. And CTY, as you said, just insanely fat right now, sitting in a Butterfly Scepter mechanism as well as Midas. And then, of course, the Anti-Mage, who is level 22, by the way. So, I mean, we're 38 minutes in. It's not the fastest 20-plus level Anti-Mage of all time. But not only does he have his gold, he has his Abyssal Blade done right now. It looks like he's going to buy it.
Yeah, Viper, 5,500 gold right now. And the gold lead, 25,000. That's just kind of out of reach for them. Maybe if they get this next Aegis, and maybe if Rising Stars like goes in one by one, they can like win a fight. But Yeah, this is Siler. He's just gonna get Abyssal and just bursts it down. BKB or not, doesn't really matter. BKB just Viper Strike and kite him, and then wait for his BKB to go down. So Rising Stars just has a very, very easy road ahead of them to close this game out.
The goal graph is pretty nuts, actually. We're talking, they've actually eclipsed 500 gold per minute lead they've generated over the last 38 minutes. They're up in the 600 to 700 gold range. It could be higher, really. But Viper now with a heart. How are they going to kill him? He's got 2,000 health. He's got a heart. He's got a scepter. He's going to have more health once the heart actually arrives. He's got evasion. Like, CTY could just about 1 versus 5, not because he's doing so much damage, but because he's just immortal.
Yeah, he is immortal. How much HP is he going to have with this? Oh, maybe if they pick off the chicken. Oh, they see it. Nah, nope.
Let's see. I'm watching the Viper to see. He will have a gajillion, I'm sure. Here comes the courier. And yeah, now sitting at 3,000 health, 2,950. With a mech, with 27 armor. 27 armor. Immortal, that's the word.
Yep. He's scary. Super scary. What are they going to do? This Roshan is just falling really fast. Vici Gaming, one more fight should just be GG if they lose, which I don't even know how they can win this next fight. But he has MKB on Weaver.
Cogs go down. We see Vici looking like they want to fight. There's a Viper Strike on a Siler, and he runs right into the Cogs. Ends up having a BKB. There's a hook that's going to catch Super, but Telekinesis to try to disjoint things. Here comes CTY. And what did FY got? He got Viper Strike. They're going to try to chase him down. Light Strike Array connects, and the Laguna Blade's enough to get 1 kill to go with the second time lapse. Very timely out of Super. Will it be enough? He slowed down QQQ right on his tail, and he will be able to continue to Shikuchi away. Siler, in the meantime, has to make a run for the base, and this should be the swan song. And Weaver's going to they're just going to call the GG as the Weaver disconnects out. So Super, the first to leave, and I mean, he didn't have a bad game sitting at 4-4, but I'll tell you who just stood out, without a doubt, Anti-Mage and Viper. CTY, a miracle, making it look easy. It was
King
like,
J too.
Yeah, King J had a couple of wonky ones here and there, but for the most part, 4-3-20, involved in 24 of 29 kills. What more can you ask for from that Clockwork?
Yeah, I mean, XCD, he died a fair amount, but he had some really good Lena Suns too, and his Lagunas were pretty spot on. So, yeah, VG just did not handle Anti-Mage well. They also did not handle Viper well. They have to reconsider their draft next game.
I really liked their draft coming in, and we knew that so much was going to rest on Clock and Viper in particular, but again, it seems like a mirror of Game 1. The supports from VG just felt very impotent. They didn't really contribute a lot across the board, whereas Rising Stars had our Ice and Fire sisters moving across the map from the very beginning, freeing up space, and CTY was left to his own devices in middle, completely uninterrupted, and same with the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage felt no pressure, and it's fine if you want to just let a carry farm the way they did the Anti-Mage, but they accomplished nothing else in the meantime. So Rising Stars flipping the script and giving us a Game 3, doubling up Vici Gaming by the time all was said and done. 29-15, the final kill score, 40 minutes, 47 seconds, the official game time. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, and we're going to a Game 3. Going the distance is Vici Gaming, looking for a big win here. They're going to have to bounce back from that loss. Rising Stars still looking for their first win here in the Eastern Division. And if they can get a win, again, it's kind of in that weird situation. There's a lot of Dota to be played, but after such a poor start for Rising Stars, they have to win right now and win out to have any shot at the playoffs. Vici, though, with only 3 series played so far, this is their 4th they're playing right now. They're already sitting at 2-1. Being able to get to 3-1 puts them in a great position. Even if they just split the remaining series after tonight, they'll still be in great shape and to come into the playoffs and have a chance to make a run to Vegas. I'm AC, that's Merlini. We'll be right back with Game 2 of our second best of 3. Vici Gaming taking on Rising Stars coming up next. Stick with us here on the HyperX D2L.